You can't talk about drugs and don't talk about race. Not in this country.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's the 10 crack commandments. Wow.
It was extremely difficult to get the voices of the urban blacks heard. Okay? I use every word that is available to me to try and describe this madness that we deal with every day, that they call race. I try every way I can to describe it as a class, as a race. What the hell is it? And why do we have such a hard time with it? Why do we always have, it's like this bloodletting when it comes to race, even when we do it with each other. It's like, don't do this. It's gonna ruin my position. Can't you see I just bought a brand new car? Can't you see I'm paying off my mortgage? Can't you see what you're doing to me by mentioning that? It's gonna cause a problem between me and my assistant director, and these are not things that people actually say.
Right.
The things that people actually say are, Imani is a fucking troublemaker. That's what they actually say. which is what they really should say is, I wish I didn't have to pay this mortgage.
Right.
Then maybe I might stand up for what she's saying.
Right.
But in the meantime, amazing it's still going on.
Man can't tell me nothing about this coke. Can't tell me nothing about this crack, this weed, and my hustling niggas. Niggas on the corner, I ain't forget you niggas. My triple B niggas.
Integrity. To me, a leader must have integrity. Because to me, integrity is it's one of the most important foundations and qualities that a person, especially a leader, should have. And integrity to me means who you are and what you stand for, and your ability to stand for it under any circumstances, no matter what. No matter what. It's not always easy to do that, because when you see that stuff disappearing off the table, you wonder, damn, honor. Honor. You must be honored to do what you're doing on behalf of who you're doing it for. Honored to do it. Not paid to do it. Honored to do it. Sometimes pay comes with it.
Right.
But you got to still be honored to do it. I say potential every day. Different set of potential every day. Ever growing, ever evolving potential. And I know from my own experience that the amount of things that I've been able to accomplish over years in a hostile playing field, on a hostile environment with some of the most hostile people you ever want to meet. Both black and white. And you know who you are. It's funny. Crazy ass people, I'm serious. Guts. You have got to be finished with fear. Nothing moves. throwing all your chips.
Right.
This is it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, you need a collective leadership basket that you can throw in all the different ideas and sounds and functions and gestures and all the different things you find along the way on that day from that person for as long as it takes. Because people come and go.
Right.
Trust me. People come through this and go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I've been in this game for years.
Well, as we just happened to roll into the conversation earlier today,
Right.
it was October 1993 that we had our first meeting. We didn't know that it had anything to do with harm reduction.
Right.
We didn't know that it was going to be named for harm reduction. We had no idea. All right? All we knew is that we'd been invited to this meeting in San Francisco, and that it was going to be all expenses paid, and I liked that because the agency was very young.
Right.
And I wanted to be involved, but I knew that I couldn't pay for it. Neither could my agency because we didn't have that kind of money yet.
Right.
Fortunately, someone within the whole planning of this thing came up with, or at least notified people how important it is to be able to pay for it. You know, because we just didn't have it.
Right.
In my case, we really didn't have it. We were like walking around with a foot broken every week, and you know, we didn't have any money, and we just kept trying and kept trying and kept trying, and we just didn't have money for me to go to something, you know, that wasn't funded. Okay? Alright, so I get this phone call about coming to this meeting. It's from a person who shall remain nameless, who was telling me how, you know, I said I could be there Saturday and Sunday, but I can't be there Friday. Not Friday day, like you want me to be. And the person who, again, shall remain nameless, got a real attitude. Like, you know, there are people all over this country who would be honored to be in your shoes and all that. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you call one of them?
Right.
And get back to me. Because I have put together an organization, me and the grace of God, that I'm not going to drop them because you promised me that I'm going to be in one of the most important things that's ever going to happen. To me, starting this agency is the most important thing that was ever going to happen. To me, the fact that you can put together a whole room of black drug users in downtown Seattle is the most important thing that you could ever put together in the room. So, you know, I'm not going to do that. And that's how I am. I don't just drop people or drop events or drop stuff because somebody tells me this is where you need to be for this, or we're giving you a plaque over here, you know, or they're giving you a this over there. You know, I know how political that stuff is. I know how we make that stuff up, you know, to do either a fundraiser or to make somebody feel special. I know how all that stuff works. So, miss me. Anyway, I do end up getting out there. Not as early as they wanted, but I think it was maybe I didn't get out there Thursday, maybe it might actually been. And I remember that next day, not that it was going so quickly anyway. They were still bringing people in. I wasn't the only one, the whole nine, okay? And I remember being at the table playing around and looking at the paper and at the same time, looking at the newspaper and at the same time talking a little bit on and off to Edith, Edith Springer, and then running across this article that said that Yolanda Serrano was dying and was dead, actually. And I said, Edith, did you know that Yolanda is dead? And she said, oh yeah, it's all over New York. I'm like, you know, this is interesting because if anybody should be here, it would be her. She said, yeah, but she is so sick. I'm like, how what? With the virus. And she hasn't been honest about it and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. You know, I can't hear that too.
Right.
And she ended up dying. She did die just when we were beginning, which is so ironic because Yolanda Serrano is this Puerto Rican woman who was like so true to her people and the whole notion of leadership, the whole notion of making sure that people who got high didn't have to be punished every time they did what they were naturally doing, which was getting the drugs into their body. So anyway, I remember me and Edith having this conversation, and that's how come I've always been so embedded to the date, remembering that it was October 1993. And so we had our first meeting, and I have to tell you that from the very beginning, as busy as first meetings can be, myself and this brother who's no longer here today, George Kinney, looked across the room at each other and from time to time and went, because we're thinking, nobody's talking about race.
It made me an animal, it's rules to this shit. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet.
So, we decided that we'll meet quarterly, and I must say, out of anything that I have ever belonged to, the creation of the Harm Reduction Coalition was one of the most well-organized things that I have ever seen in my life. I mean, I've gone to professional meetings, been a part of professional groups, you know, been on committees and groups and all kinds of stuff with all kinds of people. And given what they had to work with, as well as the different ways of doing things and all of that that you have to put together to make meetings of that kind of work, it was fantastic. It was one of the most well put together things I have ever seen. And little by little by little by little by little, it eased us towards harm reduction being created, working group being created. I really liked the working group and was sorry it was taken down. But that's the way it had to go.
Right.
You know, they had to start an organization.
Right.
We did meet quarterly, like we were supposed to, and the more we met, the more the issue was boiling. The more we met, the more it became present that if it was obvious, I'm saying the more it became obvious that it was going to be one hell of a fight to bring race to the table. How, you know, you have to ask yourself, when you're talking about a topic like drugs in America, how could you have gotten as far as we have gotten, as far as we got, without ever dealing with that issue?
Your game on track, not your wig pushed back. Rule number uno, never let no one know how much dough you hold. Cause you know, that try to breed jealousy, especially if that man fucked up. Get your ass stuck up. Number two, never let them know your next move. Don't you know bad boys move in silence and violence? Take it from your highness.